You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. You know, in order to live the life that you want to live and have the business to provide the life that you want to live, you have got to work on your mindset. So many people I talk to talk about mindset is either helping or hindering people from making progress, not just in their business, but also in their life. And there are some real mental barriers that we all have to overcome if we are going to get the success and the joy and the pleasure that we could be getting from our life and from our business. And today's expert is going to help us overcome one of the biggest obstacles that people face, and that is to become free from fear. He is joining us from Australia. His name is Andrew Hackett. He's a best-selling author and transformational trainer that has more than 20 years of experience helping people think outside their limitations and move beyond their fears so they can accomplish amazing things in their life, business, and relationships. Andrew Hackett, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thanks, Ralph. I'm really excited to be here and talking with you again.
It's a real pleasure to have you on the show. You were on our show a year ago when you had just published your first book, which is now an international best-selling book, Free from Fear, Understanding Fear's Control Over Your Life and Why Loving It Will Set You Free. So for those who are not familiar with you or with your book, tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and how you got into specializing in helping people become free from fear.
Yeah, thanks, Ralph. Look, my life has had its usual set of twists and turns like everybody else. You know, I'm no different in that regards. And for the last sort of 20 years, I've helped people in different ways to overcome their issues, their challenges, their problems that they've been facing in day-to-day life experience. But more so particularly since 2007, when I embarked on a bit of a quest of personal self-development to try and overcome my own set of limiting beliefs, my own set of problems and setbacks that, really developed out of, some troubles that I had as a teenager. And what I started to notice in that exploration, particularly over the last 10 years, I started to realize that I had kind of begun to understand a process associated with being able to help people with their fear, particularly their daily fears that were significantly restricting their life experience. And since I started applying that process in others when others are seeking my help, I'm starting to realize that effectively anybody can take this on board. Anybody can start to adopt this set of values, this set of beliefs, this set of processes that help us with our mindset. And ultimately, it enables anybody, irrespective of where they are in their life, and really in a lot of aspects, irrespective of what current belief system they have. It's not about necessarily changing people's inherent belief systems. You know, it doesn't matter what God you believe in. It doesn't matter really where you come from. It's just when we start adapting a universal process like this, it helps us create a healthier set of belief systems that enable us to actually live a happy and healthy life. It enables anybody to effectively become fearless.
That sounds like a powerful promise, and I could really see how that would be transformational in someone's life. So you are the author of the best-selling book, Free from Fear, and that audiobook just came out this year. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it took me a little while to get it recorded, but I'm so glad I did because I've had such a great response from people. Audio seems to be the chosen format for a lot of people. I know certainly I listen to a lot of audio books myself because I do a lot of traveling.
Yeah, that's good to know. And especially since we're here on the radio and people are listening, and it's good to know that, not everybody can pick up a book, or not everyone thinks they have time to grab a book. But now you can get audiobooks. You can listen while you work out, while you drive back and forth to the office, while you go on trips. I love when I'm on a trip just to pop in an audiobook. Something that's motivational or something that's going to help me develop myself. And so, you can listen while you're doing other things. And so that's a really great opportunity that we have to get these truths and to process them work them into our lives. But right now, you have just kicked off a very massive undertaking. Tell our listeners about the new project that you're working on, which is actually a series of books.
Yes, Ralph. The Felis Series, I'm really excited about this. The Felis Series is a series of 5 books, and it effectively is the culmination of the complete system of practical tools and processes that will radically transform any life, from an unhappy, unfulfilled life experience to one of limitless success and abundance. And I know that sounds like a very, very tall thing to say, but what I've noticed, particularly in the years of working with people, is I've noticed that there is a pattern that can be applied to, a pattern of processes that can be applied to anybody. And what is happening is it's giving great results. Now, for me, my time is limited like anybody else's. I can only see and work with a certain number of people, and I do like to do my group events as well, to try and touch more souls and share more and more information. But I really wanted to get this information down on print, and ultimately that's so it can be made available to the widest possible audience at the lowest possible cost for everybody. And ultimately, that was what my goal was to get that message out. So this 5-book series effectively is to try and walk people through from the beginning stage, which is effectively their unconsciousness, not being aware of what is happening within them, particularly when it comes to fear, and walk them through the process, through effectively awakening, helping them understand how manifestation works in their life, and also through recreating the belief set around success principles for them before we get to the last book of the series, which effectively is the practical application of everything into one final moment so that people can create the new them and leave fear behind forever.
Wow, that sounds like a very ambitious undertaking. So this is a 5-book series. So 3 books is a trilogy. What is 5 books?
Books, yeah, a pentalogy. That's right. Yes. Look, for what it's worth, I had to look that up myself. Yes, they call it a pentalogy. So 5 books that effectively walk people through a common theme.
Very, very good. So, and very ambitious. So obviously you are a writer. You're not just someone who speaks and trains, although you do speak and you do have live training events. Only someone who is really fanatical would write 5 books about their topic. Most people write 1 and call it a day. What is motivating you to write all of this and I know you said to make it available, but what's the motivation? Why did you choose to work so hard and put all of this effort into your message?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ralph. I have a real desire to help people. Having been a management consultant for some 25 years, to be quite honest with you, started to get a little disheartened about my belief at the time that I wasn't necessarily, the work that I was doing as a management consultant wasn't necessarily helping humanity. And I really started to wake up to the lack of legacy that I was leaving behind for the world, and I wanted to change that. When I started to realize that I had something that could genuinely help people, and a very wide range of people as well, and people were getting real, tangible results from the work that I was doing with them, I realized that I couldn't just keep this to myself. I really wanted to get this out there. And I enjoy writing, to be quite honest with you. I love the process of sitting down and tapping away at my keyboard and just letting it all flow through out onto the page. And yes, thanks to you, and Holland House Publishing, getting the word out there, there's some good editing that's required and everything like that to try and make sure it all, makes sense and everything like that as well. But to try and get that message out there to help people is ultimately the driving force for me. Because, look, and maybe this is a little bit self-serving, there is nothing that makes me feel better personally inside, nothing that makes me feel better than changing someone else's life and getting them out of that depressive rut, that rock bottom that they find themselves in, because on the other side of that is just pure bliss for so many people. And to me, that just rocks my world. I think that's the most awesome thing anyone can do for someone else. Yeah,
that's really inspiring, and certainly nothing wrong with taking pleasure in making a difference in other people's lives. I mean, what else is life for, right?
I completely agree. Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about the people that you have in your mind when you sit down to write this epic pentalogy. Who is the person that you're writing for? Who are they, and where are they at, and what is their struggle, and how do you put yourself into their shoes and really write for them? Who are they?
This might surprise you a little bit, Ralph, but they are my hero. They are the hero that I am to myself in my own life. I'm not the hero of people's stories. They are the hero of their stories. The problem is a lot of these people are lost in this search for meaning crisis. It's where we know something's not quite right, or we know that the life we're living, commuting an hour each way to the day job, to sit in a cubicle, to perform a job we don't like, to then come home, to live in a house we live in because it's near the job, or it's, some other second-rate excuse that we had to live where we want to live in the big cities and all that sort of stuff. There's a pattern of so many people that are so unhappy with their lives. And usually most people end up in such a desperate state, whether it's loneliness, whether it's unhappiness, whether it's depression, whether it's not being able to succeed in what they genuinely believe in their hearts they came here to succeed at. It can be different things for different people, but the common theme is this relentless, heartbreaking rock bottom that people find themselves in, this real desperation. And the thing I love about that particular moment in people is it is also the most genuinely heartfelt point of motivation. It brings people out. They just go, I cannot live like this anymore. I have to do something about it. Now, what I genuinely hope is that I can then touch base with that person at that point in time, because at that point they are the most motivated and the most determined to do something about it, which means they've made a choice to change. They just don't know how. They don't know what steps they need to take, and that's where I come in. I can provide them with a rock-solid process, and it takes a bit of time, and it does take work. None of this stuff is for free in the sense that we can't just sit around and expect it to happen. We've got to do the work on ourselves. We've got to take the actions required to be able to, manifest anything in the physical world. That's what physical life is all about. You can't just expect that our angels will produce everything for us, if that's what your belief system is, in my mind. We've got to chop the wood and carry the water. We've got to take the action. And ultimately speaking, that's where I come into it. When people are in this particular state of desperation, or in this particular state of just being unhappy, and knowing that there is so much more to life. We have this inherent understanding, this inherent belief within us when life is not meeting our expectations. And that belief is the fact that life should be better. And it's there for a very good reason, is because life can be better for all of us, for every one of us. I don't care if you're rich or if you're poor. I don't care if you're male or if you're female. I don't care if you're black and you're white. I don't care if you're Muslim or if you're Christian. Look, none of that matters. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't, it doesn't matter if you've come from an affluent background or, you're really scraping to try and feed yourself. You can change your life for the better. Everyone can. What you need is you just need someone to explain it in a slightly different way. Sometimes we just need life explained from a different perspective, and that gives us the opportunity to realize what we're here to realize. And I hope to people, and the feedback that I get from people every day is that different perspective is really changing lives. And look, that makes me feel fabulous.
Well, what I really like about your approach, Andrew, is that it is grounded in practical action steps. It's not just philosophy. It's here's what you need to do. I mean, it is philosophy, but you don't stop with that. You then begin to build a bridge to action. And as you say, chop the wood and carry the water. We have to put some effort in if we want to get some results back. And we didn't get to where we are just with a philosophy, but with specific actions. Our behaviors of yesterday got us to where we are today. If we want to be in a different place tomorrow, we have to change our behaviors in order to get to that place. And that's what I really like about you and about your message and your work. It's very genuine. It's authentic, but you're also based in reality. You've got your feet on the ground, even though you've got a nice vision of what's possible. But you can also relate to where people are and what people need to do to get from where they are to where they want to be. That's really exciting about what you have to share.
Thanks, Ralph. And look, you hit the nail right on the head there. I use a couple of terms, but ultimately speaking, a lot of my work has a heavy spiritual influence, and that's ultimately because part of the process of me fixing myself, to use a better term. I realize that, we need to address everything in the mind, the body, and the spirit. It is that trifecta that we've really got to sort out. And I think too many people are trying to ignore one or the other. We either focus on our mindset and our mind, but we don't pay attention to our body. And our body, ultimately speaking, if our body's not happy and healthy, it will drag our mind back down into the doldrums. It's an unavoidable thing because they are inherently connected. Science tells us that it's connected, and more work is now being done about the connection between the spirit, the mind, and the body as well, that ultimate trifecta. So what I talk about is philosophy and practicality, or spirituality and practicality. They go hand in hand. To not have one means you're only looking at half the solution. You're only doing half the job. But we need to be practical. And why? Because we are physical beings in a physical, practical world. And yes, I believe that the universe can influence things. Yes, I believe that there are synchronicities that are orchestrated around us to help us achieve. It's a response from the universe to what our wishes and desires are. I genuinely believe that, and it's a cornerstone of everything that I teach people. However, if we do not take action on things, it cannot happen. It is up to us, and we must take action, and that is what the practicality is, and that's what I try to teach people from the beginning. If we are going to make the changes that we need to make, yes, we need to change our mindset. That is absolutely critical. And look, there's no secrets here. Tony Robbins has been saying this for decades. Mindset is great, but we've also got to take action. What I then add to it is the spiritual approach as well, to help us understand who we are, to work through our limiting beliefs, to try and change our belief systems, because that is the foundation, that what leads to every and all success in everyone, in my opinion.
Very good. I enjoy Tony Robbins, and I've learned a lot from Tony. One thing he talks a lot about is taking massive action. But he also talks about making distinctions. And one distinction that I have made is that it's possible to take a lot of massive action, but if you don't have the right direction in life, if you don't know your purpose, if you don't know the goal towards which all of these massive actions are taking you, you can take massive action and be in a completely wrong place, and you end up exactly where you don't want to be, even though you're working very, very hard. Do you think that experience is normative for most of the people that you are working with?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. In fact, some people come to me and they've already got themselves out of their rock bottom, but what's happening is I use it as the analogy of a staircase. They are focusing on each and every step, which is not a bad thing. However, I think they focus too much on the steps as they are. What I try to teach people is let's find the destination. Let's find the reason behind the destination that we want or that we desire. And let's just focus on the next couple of steps. And the reason why I do it that way, rather than focusing on the whole staircase, is because I believe that when we take one step or the next step, the universe has an opportunity to provide influence over what the following steps will be. And the reason why I say sort of surrender to that process is because when the universe provides that level of influence, the universe has access to things I as an individual person don't have access to. The universe has access to others. It can put thoughts in other people's mind. Like there's that many times when I've sat back and I've thought, how am I going to do this? And it's only when I surrender it to the universe, so to speak, that the universe provides the opportunity. And I get a phone call out of the blue from someone I've never met who says, hey, listen, I've got this really great opportunity I want to talk to you about. And as it's usually so happens to be, it is either the step I'm looking for or it's a step further down the train that I didn't even know was a possibility. So I think instead of focusing on every step of the actual staircase that we see before us, focus on what the destination is, what we're trying to desire. That's the signal we're sending out to the universe, and that's the big desire, the big plan. So for me, it's to be a successful author. For me, it's to be a successful transformational trainer. For me, it's to be a successful person who helps others create success in their own lives. Because, I'm a big, strong believer that a leader isn't someone who leads. A leader is actually someone who creates the most leaders. And so if I can create success in others, the signal I'm sending out is reflected back at me, and inevitably success is created within my own life as well, which is meeting that desire. But if I focus on that destination and I don't put too much rigor, too much control, or too much constraints around each and every step that I think must happen to achieve that destination, if I then just assign a whole bunch of that to the universe and go, I'm just going to focus on these next two steps because, one, I'm certain that they need to happen, and two, they're within my control to take action on at this point in time, and just allow the universe to intuitively or otherwise, synchronistically, influence what those other steps might be. And what that does is it opens up a world of possibility that isn't limited to our belief system. It opens up a world of possibility that we couldn't possibly come up with in any one moment. And if we just allow that influence to happen, I'm telling you now, beautiful and remarkable things happen every single day. And I've got that proof and experience in my own life, but I've also got that proof and experience through that process I've implemented in others. And it's really what changes lives, because people go, I couldn't believe this. I just got this call today, or this opportunity just landed in my lap. And I said, you know what? You did that. It may have been unconscious, but that was the universe's response to what you were trying to achieve and to set out to accomplish. And that is a beautiful moment in anybody's life when they start to see those synchronicities firsthand and see the physical world, practical things that come from that as a result. I love it. It's fabulous stuff.
That is fabulous indeed. And when you were talking about that staircase and taking one step at the time, and as you explained, not needing to know every single step, but just taking the next one or two steps, it occurred to me that this is a very unique staircase. It's not fixed. It's not set in stone. It's not set in wood. But it unfolds and develops as you take steps. So you may see the goal, but you have, and as a strategist, this is the level of thinking that I have to apply to a life strategy, a business strategy, a marketing strategy, or any kind of strategy, because what people have to understand is that things are not fixed. Things outside of your control change. The competition changes. Circumstances change. Opportunities come up. So there's that synchronicity that you're talking about. and we may not be able to map out every single step. And the odds are, as soon as we begin taking a step, something's going to change anyway. So what you're saying is to be flexible and just go with that and let that journey take you to a place that you couldn't have planned, even if you had seen it in advance, but you are experiencing something that is brand new and you are creating something just by being obedient to take the next one or two steps.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And look, you've got it spot on there. But let me reinforce something here. You know, as a management consultant, particularly a commercial management consultant for some 25 odd years, I'm all for strategy. Don't get me wrong. Strategy is really, really important, particularly in business. But what I'm starting to realize, and I'm doing more and more work with people and entrepreneurs, particularly in getting their businesses off the ground, and even more successful businesses in trying to get them to change their approach to their strategy. A strategy is all good and well, but what I'm saying is don't be wedded to every step within your strategy. Mm-hmm. Try and keep your strategy a little bit more fluent. Focus on the destination the strategy is trying to achieve rather than every individual step. And this is so applicable in business too. A lot of people think that everything that is spiritual or, you know, and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, mindset, in my opinion, has a very heavy spiritual influence to it because it's all interconnected, the mind, body, and the spirit. But it is so applicable in business. And the reason why is any good entrepreneur will know this. Everything they do in their business is a reflection of who they are and how they operate and what they believe. And if we can rebuild someone from the ground up, you know, ultimately the step is effectively to break down who we are and then rebuild us from the ground up. If we can do that for an entrepreneur as well, what happens then is everything changes, you know, and ultimately that's what mindset is all about. It's about breaking down and rebuilding that mindset. And look, an entire coaching industry has been built around it worth billions of dollars every year. What I believe, though, is we need to focus a little less on the control aspect. We're not here we can't control everything around us. We can only influence what is immediately in front of us. So do your strategy, absolutely. Map it out, certainly. But just keep it a little bit fluid and allow that little bit element of influence, that synchronicity to happen. You know, you honestly will be so surprised how incredible that can be, that something comes from left field. Like recently I've had calls from Europe and the UK and, you know, just sometimes social media has some sort of influence over it because it enables us to connect with people, and that works really well as well. But what it does is, other things, the universe plants its seeds in other ways, and it's really apparent to me. And even my first book, Free from Fear, talks about the fact that, people were effectively arriving on my doorstep to give me messages of what I needed to do at any moment in time. And these were complete strangers who I'd never met. And honestly, I haven't seen them since. It was just that particular synchronistic moment in time. And, at first it was a little weird for me. It took me a while to get my head around what was going on. So,
and you can't plan for those things. They just kind of happen. Yeah.
Correct. That's exactly right.
Yeah, but you can be open to them. So that's the lesson. Hang on to your goal, keep your destination in mind, but be flexible and realize that there are many different ways to achieve your goal, and just see how things unfold. And so I really like that approach. It's a great philosophy, and it's something I'm learning as a strategist as well. So your first book in the series is going to be published soon. How does it feel to get that kicked off?
Yeah, look, to be quite honest with you, I'm so excited. I've been working on this for quite some time, and to embark on this project, it's funny, when I started to write it all, I never fully grasped how big this was going to be. And what really excites me about it is giving people access to the material that's fundamentally going to change their life. That's what I'm really, really excited about. It's to have the opportunity to do this is quite humbling, to be quite honest with you.
Very, very good. So I encourage our listeners to get in touch with Andrew so that you can get alerted when the first book in the series comes out. It's called Ending Your Unconsciousness. It's the first book in the Felis Series, and you can find out more about that and find out more about Andrew Hackett by visiting andrewhackett.com.au. That's Andrew Hackett with 2 T's, andrewhackett.com.au. Andrew, it has been really neat to touch base with you, to see all that you have going on, and I'm really excited to see how your path unfolds here in the next year or so. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom you'd like to leave us with?
Look, what I try to leave people with ultimately is, just be true to yourself. We are all unique for very, very good reason. And I believe that's because the universe needs it to be that way. And the reason being is actually because, if we were all the same, the results would all be the same, but we're not. And we need to be unique because we each can offer the world something very, very different. And I believe the world needs that difference because one thing leads to the next and leads to the next. And if you're not doing your bit, then maybe someone else can't use what you have developed or what you were offering to awaken them to their own dreams and desires and thoughts and processes. And, so I say to people, embrace. If you're a little bit weird, if you're a little bit odd, embrace it. There's a very, very good reason for it. And I believe it directly leads to what your purpose in life is. And I hope you find it. And, I'm happy to help anybody to try and help find their purpose in life because I believe the world needs all of us to not only find our purpose, but to take action on that as well.
Good words. I've been speaking with Andrew Hackett. He is a best-selling author and transformational trainer that has more than 20 years of experience helping people think outside their limitations and move beyond their fears so they can accomplish amazing things in their life, business, and relationships. Andrew, it's been a real pleasure to talk with you today. Thank you so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to everyone, Ralph. It's great to chat again.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogden.com.